This video will explain when permits are required, as well as the different types of permits and their uses. If the items you would like to export are controlled and are not subject to an exemption, then you will need an export permit. There is no charge to apply for a permit. Goods are controlled if they are on the New Zealand Strategic Goods list or are subject to catch-all provisions. You can learn more about self-assessing whether your exports are controlled in another video. In some circumstances, permit exemptions can take place. For example, for temporary export of guns, ammunition collections, vintage aircraft, or for the New Zealand Defence Force and New Zealand Police. Full details of these exemptions can be found in the Export Controls section of the MFAT website. If you obtain an exemption to travel with a firearm, you are still required to notify us of firearms you will be travelling with, as we need to report all firearm exports due to our obligations under the Arms Trade Treaty. You can find this form in the Export Controls section of the MFAT website by using the search functionality. New Zealand issues 4 types of permits or consents to export strategic goods. You can apply for a single export permit, a single temporary export permit, multiple export permit, or a general consent. Let's take a look at each of these permits. Single export permits are issued for a fixed quantity of specified items in a single shipment. Any single permit is valid for a 3-month period, but can be longer if agreed. Single temporary export permits are issued for a fixed quantity of specified items temporarily leaving New Zealand with the intention of returning to the owner, for example, for an exhibition. A condition of a temporary permit is that MFAT Export Controls is notified when the goods return to New Zealand. Any single temporary permit is usually valid for a 3-month period. Multiple export permits are issued for the export of a fixed quantity of controlled items that will be exported in several shipments over an extended period of up to 18 months in duration. You may be asked to report details of exports to MFAT every 6 months. General consents allow an unlimited amount of goods to a country. They are usually only granted for countries which are also members of an international export controls regime, but other countries may be considered on a case-by-case basis. End users do not need to be specified unless to non-member countries. General consents to export specifically listed items to a country or countries may make sense if you are exporting a sufficient volume of goods. You may be asked to report details of exports to MFAT every 6 months. How do I apply for a permit? You can find the application forms on the MFAT website by using the search functionality. You can download the application form as an interactive PDF. Once you have the form open in Adobe Reader, you'll need to enable all features by clicking the button on the top right-hand side of the PDF. You will need to enter information into all the mandatory fields, which are indicated by a red outline. Once completed, click the Check Form is Complete button. This should open the default email application on your device and configure an email with the completed form to exportcontrols@mfat.govt.nz. Once the Export Controls team receives your email, they will begin to assess your application. You can learn more about this process and how long it will take in the How is my export permit application assessed video.